Afternoon. I'm Doug Starr. I guess I was thrown into this entrepreneurial gig, I guess full-time 4 years ago. I taught algebra and math and coached in the public school system for 20 years, and by way of God's grace, I was shown another path, I guess. But in that, as we started, it's funny. I'm a product of educators. So when Brian talks about he was an educator, my mother and father are educators here. They were lifetime educators. Dad was athletic director here. Mom, she taught math forever on that one. So it's kind of funny just the different situations and the lessons you learn, growing up. And Mike wanted me to speak to you about sales and how you keep customers. And it was kind of a funny topic that came to me is because when I grew up, my parents were, we just put the fun in dysfunction around that place. All right, we're just a little bit skewed. I'm the youngest of four. I have three older sisters whose profiles are on my tie. Sorry, I mean, they're good people, but they just a little bit off, whatever, right? But when I was growing up, I was about 7, and the first lesson I learned about working, my dad took me by the shoulder and he said, "Come here, boy, let me show you something." He took me out in the front yard and he said, "Hey, check that out. That is my flower bed, right? Those are your weeds, right? You need to get your weeds out of my flower bed by the time I get home." Now, it's cool. I mean, it was just, it was a simple story, but his deal was, I don't care if you pull them, I don't care if you eat them. Whatever it is, if the good Lord comes back on that white horse, is the only reason them weeds aren't going to be out of that flower bed by the time I get home, right? So, I mean, that was just kind of the generational curse, I guess, or lesson. That's the same thing his dad did to him. So, I mean, my kids, same way. So, as far as learning, I guess, as far as sales are concerned, what we've understand is you can't have a servant without a servant's heart. So I'm going to talk about the 3 S's of having customers stay, right? And the first one that we talked about is this, is what is your attitude about service that makes people trust you, right? It's a good question, and I think so much of it is we all have those customers, right? Make Jesus come down off the cross before, you pinch them for an extra, 1% off your wholesale. You're like, seriously, dude, really? I mean, I get it. I mean, there's just some extra work people around, but what I've understood about really, I guess, having a servant's heart is basically, it's just kind of scriptural. What we do with it, it says your attitude should be as Christ Jesus, right? Who didn't consider being equality with God something to be grasped, right? But he made himself nothing, taking on the nature of a servant, became obedient to death on the cross, right? So basically what we're saying is, one, my position in my service determines if somebody stays. Because we all have a position. Guess what? My position is that, look, I have to serve them before they give me money. Right? If we can teach kids that your space that you occupy on this planet is determined by the service you provide before somebody pays you for it. It's first. So we know if somebody's going to stay, I have to have a position of how I'm going to serve you first. The second one is your posture. We all have a posture, right? Attitude determines a posture. You ever try to sell somebody that, right? I mean, really, it's kind of like my little teenage daughter, right? She turns 18 next month. Our deal in the house was you can date when you turn 16, right? She said, "Well, Daddy, I met this guy." I'm like, "Well, okay, cool." I got a couple of businesses working. One, we do landscaping and stuff. We do mesquite wood for restaurants. The best one is we teach concealed handgun, tactical handgun stuff out in Tuscola. Perfect. Tell that little cracker to come out to the range. We'll talk about some guidelines. Really. Well, Daddy's on the track team. He's a good athlete. That's cool. He better be able to run about 1,200 feet per second. We're going to find out how fast he is, right? God, so you got your position, you got your posture. And it's funny when you see people when they come to service, their posture's like, no, but your posture is, you got to kneel to a degree to serve somebody. It doesn't matter. Because if our position is to serve them first, and that means my attitude about that has to reflect that same position. If it doesn't, guess what? They're done, right? So as we deal with that and we talk about position and talk about posture, you also have to talk about your practice. Because he became obedient to death, even death on the cross. Meaning that, guess what? He did that over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, I like to sit there and say there's some customers that I need to treat differently because they pay me on time. Right? And we all get it. But I know we're not talking about the delineation of somebody, that's struggling opposed to somebody not paying. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that when you get the reputation, hey, I'm going to serve you the best I can regardless of the situation, that's cool. No, not that you don't have to speak to someone about that at some time. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is you have to make that your practice. Because the cool thing about it is he was given a name, he was given a position, the highest position and a name above all names. He was promoted. So know that promise is coming if, one, we know that my servant's heart serves that purpose. That would be the number one S would be, what is my attitude about service? The second S would be that of sacrifice. Now, the cool thing about sacrifice is this, is what are you doing that's limiting your employees, right? They had a saying in education is if you have a sacred cow, there's going to be a barbecue, right? Well, we've always done this. For 30 years, we've done it this way. Well, guess what? It's probably not working there, Einstein, because if you've seen how the educational system works, it's a little bit off, kind of skewed, right? Everybody sit in here, and I'm going to tell everybody at the same time, and everybody learn at the same time, because if you come back tomorrow and you haven't got it all done at the same time, you're a failure, right? To some degree, as it goes. So as we go with that, when we talk about basically what we're going to sacrifice is this, and that is how am I going to take care of my employees? Because guess what? If you take care of your employees, guess what happens to your customers? They're taken care of, right? I'm not going to be the only one taking care of my customers. I want somebody else to take care of them. So you have to make sure that you take care of your employees so those sacred cows are eliminated. Now, as we speak about kids, I lost my job as an educator 4 years ago. You don't discipline kids in school, kind of like we did. My dad told me, he said, boy, I'm going to tell you one time, and I'm going to melt that wax in your ears if it doesn't happen. By lighting your bottle, right? I got busted so many times growing up, left a crack in me, right? It happens, right? It happens. It's your fault. But anyway, in that, so I'm out on my ear. 46 years old, 20-year career, I'm starting over, right? Probably one of the funnest times of my life, but I tell you this, I believe it was Thomas Edison said there's a law of compensation where the grace of God comes to you and gives you something when something's taken away. And I'll tell you this, it can almost rattle an old man's box. I'll tell you, if somebody gets teary-eyed in here, I just got to shoot you. Right, sorry, it's one of those deals. I have, my boy was 11 and my girl was 13. I had 3 employees in my business, my wife and my 2 knucklehead kids, right? And we're just running yards. I mean, I ran yards in the summer, and we just had a few of them. Well, that next summer came, and we kind of built it up a little bit, and it was all 4 of us in a single cab truck, and we're getting it. I mean, I'm not talking casual, right? I'm not, honey, would you cut the yard today, please? Because you just want. I'm saying, sure, you need to get in this truck. We're leaving before the sun comes up. We're cutting anywhere from 15 to 20 yards a day, and we're getting home when the sun goes down. They're working like grown people. 11 and 13. And we went through that deal, and I was pushing, God, we gotta get it, we gotta get this. And my wife looks at me and she said, honey, they're teenagers. I'm like, I get it. So we'd start taking a little bit lunch break, right? I'd take them to the movies. We'd do a lot of more extra, you know what I'm saying, kind of reward stuff for them because they were so young. And it was really kind of emotional to me when you sit there and think about it because, I mean, I'm of course, people that grew up in the Great Depression and kind of that age, my folks, I mean, that was commonplace. I mean, hey, Crud, you were 7, 8 years old, baby, you was out thumping it like a, you know what I'm saying, like a one-legged man in a rear kicking contest, right? I mean, you just out there kicking. And they did, and I look back on that and I thought, you know what? My boy came up to me today, or my little girl was going to deal. She said, Dad, I'm out of money. She said, can I work with you this weekend? I said, you sure can. And I thought, you know what, we got something there, because my boy's the same way. And I thought that was pretty much solid. So when we talk about a servant's heart, that's the first one. The second one is sacrificing for your employees. And the third one is you got to leave them in stitches, right? Last story that I have, and basically what you have to do is how are you turning your relationships into partnerships, okay? Story about mine is this: I got a good bud. He's a back doctor. He was my back doctor. He's got a place out on Ridgemont called D1. It's a training facility that he has there. Dan Mutton, I don't know if you know him. If you see him, you won't forget him because he's ugly, right? Terrible. Anyway, good people, but he's ugly. Well, he was my back doctor. Well, the deal was I had back surgery. April will be a year ago. Well, through this whole process, I would be dealing with back pain like a beast. Well, he would give me cortisone injections, okay? So I'm laying there on the table, right? He's fixing to come in and give me an injection, so, you kind of lose modesty when when your health goes away. So I'm up there and I got my hiney shining up to the ceiling, right? And he's coming in and he's standing over and he's talking to my rear end. Hey, how you doing today? And then he looks at my face and he goes, oh, it's you. I'm like, I'll tell you, that ain't funny. Hurt my feelings, right? I said, so that's how you want to play. Okay, that's cool. So when he gets your injection, well, he wouldn't let me just walk out. They got to put you in the wheelchair and go, right? Well, he had made the mistake. So when they took me out of the procedure room, the doors to the lobby are open, right? And they're wheeling me, and I'm going, oh, it didn't help any. You hurt me worse when I came in. Oh my God, you paid. So and all the nurses go, shh, shh, and they're trying to shut the doors. I'm like, do it again. Right? So the crazy thing about that is this: when people have a good time doing what they're doing, they're gonna stay around. I mean, if you make people feel that, hey, the only thing I got to do today is do your yard, right? The only thing I got to do today is teach you how to shoot it. Whatever it is, it's isolated. And I think if we can do those three things, if we can maintain a servant's heart, we can sacrifice the little petty things that we have of our own personal preferences to help our employees, and we can make people laugh, do what they do, you're going to keep customers. Because if they laughing, they paying, and they coming back to do it again. Right. Thank you. Be blessed. Well done.